Hey guys, what's up? This is Force from Force StarCraft 2 Strategy, your number one location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at some 2v2 action. At this particular video, we're going to be taking a look at the Terran player's point of view. I'm going to do a dual video to correspond with this one, taking a look at the Protoss player's point of view. So starting off though, we're going to be looking at Terran. This is a 2v2 on the map called High Orbit. And this is going to be a Terran and Protoss strategy. We are also facing off versus a Terran and Protoss, so this is a mirror match. Now what we're going to be doing, what our strategy is in this particular game, again this is on the map High Orbit, relatively small, pretty short distance between the two joined bases. And that's something else that's important to know. In this particular 2v2 map, the bases are joined together. We're going to be going for some quick siege tanks as well as Marines on the Terran player's aspect. And on the flip side, my Protoss partner here, he's going to be going for a 4 warp gate Stalker with some Sentry and Zealot mix. Basically the standard Protoss ground force composition. Taking a look at things here though, just to start off, we're actually going to, a little bit of a variation, a deviation from the norm, if you will, as far as standard Terran openings are concerned. We're going to be getting our refinery before we get our barracks. We're going to start building our refinery at 12 supply. Our first supply depot went down as 10, just as is the usual. And then we're going to be getting our barracks at 12 supply as well, holding off on creating additional SCV until we start building our barracks. As you can see now, we're going to be getting our SCV. A little bit of late timing on there. I was over before I started making. I think I had something going on at the point. Either my phone was ringing or some garbage like that. Something to distract me from my gaming, which is, of course, a huge travesty. So just again to reiterate, we actually got the refinery before the barracks in this one. We got supply depot 10, refinery 12, and then barracks after the refinery. Basically, as soon as, after we're done building the refinery, as soon as we get our next 150 minerals is when we're going to build the barracks. Now, we like to wall off in these particular matchups just to save us a little bit from any possible scouting that our opponents could do. The faster we get up the wall and the better as far as we're concerned. So again, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be going for the fast tank and marine push for the Terran player. And the reason we got the gas before the barracks is it's going to allow us to actually put down this factory the second that the barracks is done building. So it was gas at 12 and then barracks. And then once the barracks is done building, you should have 100 gas. You want to make sure, of course, you saturate the refinery once it comes up. But as soon as the barracks is done building, we will have 100 gas, so we can start building that factory right away. Now, when the factory is about 50% done building, I like to just go ahead and attach a tech lab onto my barracks. Now, what that's going to enable me to do is that the second the factory is done building, I'm going to lift it off, drop it in place of the barracks right on the tech lab, so I don't have to wait that extra time for the tech lab to build on the factory. This enables me to start building siege tanks a little bit faster. I know it's not like a ton of time. Let's take a look at the actual time here. Tech lab build time is 25 seconds, as you can see there. So it does save me 25 seconds. And you know what, honestly, in game time, that's a huge thing, because if you can hit someone 25 seconds earlier, it's kind of a big deal. So again, we're getting that siege tank really quickly. Going to start researching siege tech as well. Now in this particular build, we're going to have a lot of spare minerals. So what I'm doing with that is I'm going to be using that for Marines, marine production. Going to end up getting another barracks. Also going to get a starport so we can get some Vikings to gain vision for the siege tanks. Because my Protoss partner here is going to be going for basically a Protoss ground army with 4 warp gates, so he's not going to have any flying units or any observers or anything at the time we hit. We're going to go for a relatively early hit with this. Siege tanks, when brought out early on the field, can be really devastating, so that's kind of the purpose in doing so. Also, you want to make sure you get that second refinery up. What I usually do, I usually get that orbital command right after the factory's done building. I start going for that orbital command, and then when the orbital command's almost done, I go ahead and get my second refinery, and that's basically what the build time looks like. So things are going to be pretty static here for the time being. Nothing too exciting is going to happen until we actually do make our push, which is about 7 minutes into the game. And again, we're going to be pushing with a few siege tanks, a handful of Marines, and I'm also going to have a Viking out at that point. Now, it's an important thing to note here, taking a look at my economy, always keeping it low. I want to always make sure that we're coming out with something. Another siege tank, some more Marines, getting some SCVs to saturate this line. Again, in case you are unaware, full saturation for any mineral patch is 2 workers per patch. For any refinery, it's 3 workers per refinery. So you can keep making SCVs until you get about 2 per patch. Anything past that, you're kind of really wasting minerals on those SCVs because you're not going to be gaining that much from having another SCV on those lines. 2 per patch is about the max. So again, always keeping these minerals and Vespian low, trying to constantly be pumping something out. So you're going to see the second here. Right away, as soon as I get the Vespian forward, I went ahead and got another siege tank. Got up my starport as well. And that was after I had a few siege tanks. And basically what's going to happen is as soon as we get that Viking out is when we're going to go ahead and do our push. Just keep coming with the Marines, make sure we're staying on top of our supply depot production so that we are not getting supply capped and we aren't delaying any of our army production at all. And as you can see here, you're going to look over real quick to the Protoss player. He does have his 4 warp gates up right now, so he is just about ready to push. I just told him to just wait for a Viking, and then we're going to go ahead and go. The Viking's just about out, so I'm hockeying up everything, rallying out. I have my starport rallied straight to one of my siege tanks here. And take a look here. I think I've gone over this before, but this is my preferred hockey positioning here. I always go with the orbital command at 4, barracks at 5, factory at 6, and starport at 7. That is my default for pretty much every game that I play as Terran. So we're going ahead and making a push here. On this particular map, again, this is joined base. There was a large frontal ramp, but there's also a back ramp here with destructible rocks. We fully intend on exploiting this. We're in the Diamond League, so these aren't exactly dummies. You know, they got into the Diamond League in 2v2, so they've got some idea of what they're doing. But they apparently didn't realize that you want to put a pylon or supply depot back here. Always make sure you do that. If you take a look at our base, we have a pylon back there just to keep an eye on those destructible rocks, because this is precisely what can happen if you don't keep an eye on the destructible rocks. Bringing up the Viking here to get some vision, make sure there's nothing fancy going on up here, and actually my teammate goes ahead and blinks the Stalker up just for giggles. Moving on up, going to siege. Now, unfortunately, what our opponents are going to have to do is they're going to have to move into our sieged up tanks, and that is not a good position. Now, they do end up pushing forward. I asked my ally here to try to get in front of my tanks and stop them from target firing them, but they actually just go straight for it. As you can see, taking a look at his attack rallies there, they just went straight for the siege tanks. Now that is quite misfortunate for my siege tanks. I could have had a little bit better of a spread. I kind of knew we won the game at that point though, since they had nothing back here defending and we were moving in. But yeah, I mean, try to spread out your siege tanks in that situation so that that doesn't happen. You don't get target fire. I guess the good thing though is that since they concentrated on target firing in my tanks, my ally Stalkers just ripped them to shreds in the meantime, and it's pretty much game over. Not too much they can do. Taking a look back at my buildings here, I had some more production going up. Unfortunately, the rally fell off. I think I talked about this in the past video. That's part of the problem when you rally to a unit instead of a set location on the ground, because if you do rally to a unit, the rally is going to disappear once the unit dies, and that's precisely what happened there. My rallies got stuck back because the siege tank I had them set to died. So you know, it's a good idea to just set a point on the ground, especially once you get into their base, and units could die at that point. And as you can see, this push was just a little too devastating for them to handle, and they go ahead and leave the game. So just taking a quick look here at the Terran build order. We went ahead with that refinery before we got our first barracks. It was supply depot 10, refinery 12, then a barracks at 12 as well. Saturate that refinery. As soon as the barracks is done building, you can go ahead and start building your factory. And then when the factory is about half done building, you go ahead and get the tech lab out there, and then at that point you just want to keep pumping out siege tanks. Make sure you research siege tech, get marines with your extra minerals as well as SCVs, and getting supply depots so you don't become blocked. At some point, I usually get it when I have about 2 siege tanks, just to make sure we have some good frontal defenses. After that point, with your extra Vespian, go ahead and get a starport, get a Viking out, so that when you do push out, you can get some vision of the high ground. It's very, very helpful, so you don't have to waste scans unnecessarily. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, that push was very successful. And again, this isn't child's play, although this was a pretty easy game. But I mean, just to reiterate, this was in the Diamond League, so these are, you know, some of the higher end players in the general populace right now, at least the ones who are currently playing in 2v2s. So again, this has been for StarCraft 2 strategy. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be coming out with the Protoss version of this video. Keep watching and keep owning, guys.